The sun was barely awake over the dusty streets of a small town in Iran. Birds chirped softly, but a strange tension hung in the air, like the silence before a storm. People walked quickly, keeping their heads down, afraid to draw attention. Among them was Amir, a kind-hearted Christian man known for helping anyone in need. He smiled at a little girl carrying bread, whispered a prayer for an old man struggling with his load, and kept walking to his small workshop at the edge of town. Amir loved his faith. He prayed every morning, thanking Jesus for keeping him safe, even in a place where believing in him could be dangerous. His hands, skilled and gentle, made beautiful wooden toys and small carvings that children and adults loved. Every carving told a story of hope and faith. But that morning, the quiet town held a dark secret. Islamic extremists had been watching Amir. They didn't like Christians, and they hated that Amir openly shared his faith in whispers and secret gatherings. To them, he was a target. To Amir, they were just people who didn't know the love of Jesus yet. As he entered his workshop, the sun's rays warmed the room, making the wooden toys glow softly. He picked up a tiny wooden bird and whispered a prayer. "Lord, please guide me today. Keep me and those I love safe." He had no idea that in just a few minutes, his life would change forever. A loud, harsh knock echoed on the workshop door. Amir froze. The sound was not like the usual visitors who came to buy his carvings. This knock was heavy, threatening, full of anger. He opened the door slowly, his heart pounding in his chest. Outside stood 3 men dressed in black, faces hidden under scarves, eyes burning with hatred. "Amir," one of them hissed, "you know why we are here." Amir's hands shook. He tried to speak, tried to explain, but the words got stuck in his throat. They didn't want to talk. Before he could even move, one of them grabbed his arm. Panic exploded inside him like fire. The extremists dragged Amir out into the street. People scattered, screaming, but no one dared stop them. The town felt smaller, darker, and colder in that moment. Amir's mind raced, but one thought shone through the terror. "Jesus, please help me. Don't let them take my life. I trust you." Suddenly, one of the men pulled out a sharp blade. Amir's heart stopped. Pain, fear, and helplessness surged through him. The world seemed to slow down. He remembered every prayer he had whispered in secret, every moment he had trusted Jesus with his life, and now it all felt like it was about to be tested in the hardest way possible. The street was silent, except for Amir's own shaky breath and the cruel footsteps of the men. Everything he had loved, his family, his faith, his simple life, hung in the balance. And then, just as the blade was about to strike, something unimaginable began to happen. A strange feeling of calm washed over Amir. His fear didn't disappear, but it was replaced with a quiet, steady voice in his heart. "Do not be afraid. I am with you." Amir didn't understand how, but at that moment, he felt a power stronger than any fear, stronger than the men threatening him. He closed his eyes and prayed harder than ever before. His hands, once trembling, now gripped the wooden bird he had been holding. He whispered, "Jesus, save me. Only you can save me." And then the impossible began. Amir's eyes were squeezed shut. His heart pounded like a drum in his chest, and every sound around him, the angry shouts of the extremists, the harsh scraping of boots on stone, the cries of frightened villagers, felt amplified. The blade glinted in the sunlight, cold and cruel. Amir's body shook uncontrollably, but deep inside, a small flame of faith burned brighter than ever. "Please, Jesus," he whispered, clinging to the tiny wooden bird in his hand. One of the extremists grabbed Amir's arm tightly, twisting it with a strength that made him cry out in pain. The blade hovered dangerously close to his hand. Fear threatened to crush him. Every instinct screamed to run, to fight, to escape, but he was trapped, powerless. Then, something strange happened. The world seemed to slow down. The angry shouts of the extremists faded into a muffled echo, and a soft, warm light filled Amir's mind. He couldn't see it with his eyes, but he felt it. It wrapped around him like a protective blanket, calming his panic, steadying his breath. A voice, gentle but stronger than anything he had ever heard, whispered in his heart, "Do not fear. I am with you." Amir opened his eyes slowly. For a moment, he thought he had imagined it. But the men froze. Their eyes widened, their hands shaking as if something invisible held them back. Amir's fear didn't vanish completely, but a new courage surged inside him. Amir, what is happening? One extremist stammered. His friends looked confused, terrified. Their hatred seemed to falter in the face of something they could not understand. The blade still hovered, but Amir felt an invisible shield around his hand. He couldn't explain it, but he knew with every fiber of his being that he would not be harmed. He whispered another prayer. Jesus, protect me. Show your power. Save me. And then, in the blink of an eye, the impossible happened. The blade missed his hand completely. Amir staggered back, heart racing. He could see the fear in the extremists' eyes now. Something had changed. It was as if the air itself had turned against them, making their anger powerless. One of the men dropped to his knees, shaking, muttering under his breath. Amir didn't understand their words, but he could feel the shift, their cruelty faltering, their evil losing its grip. He knew that the only reason he was alive was because Jesus had stepped in. The villagers, who had been hiding in fear, peeked from behind doors and walls. Whispers of astonishment spread quickly. He is not harmed. How is this possible? Amir's hands, once trembling violently, now held the wooden bird with a strange calm. Pain and fear had not left completely, but a deep peace filled him, stronger than anything he had ever felt. He realized something incredible. His life had been saved, not by strength or luck, but by something far greater. The extremists, now confused and scared, fled the street, leaving Amir alone. The town seemed quiet again, but the air was different. It was charged with a mixture of fear and wonder, as though the impossible had just touched the lives of everyone who witnessed it. Amir sank to the ground, tears streaming down his face. His hand was safe, untouched by the blade, but his heart was overflowing with gratitude. He whispered softly, almost in disbelief, Jesus, you really are with me. Thank you. For the first time in his life, Amir truly understood that faith was not just words or prayers. It was a living, powerful force that could reach through darkness, fear, and hatred, and turn the impossible into reality. He stood slowly, holding the tiny wooden bird to his chest. Today, he had faced death. Today, he had felt the touch of a miracle. And deep down, he knew this was only the beginning of a story far greater than he could ever imagine. After the extremists fled, the street was quiet, almost painfully so. Amir stood in the middle of the empty road, still holding the tiny wooden bird in his hands. His body ached from fear, but his heart was overflowing with something he had never felt before: peace, wonder, and awe. Slowly, villagers began to peek from behind doors, windows, and alleyways. Whispers spread like fire. Did you see his hand? It's safe. How is this possible? Children clutched their mothers' skirts, wide-eyed, while the elders stared in disbelief. Amir could feel the weight of their curiosity, fear, and wonder pressing on him. Amir knew he couldn't hide what had happened, but he also knew the town was not ready to hear the full story. He took a deep breath and whispered to himself, Jesus, give me wisdom. Show me how to share your love, not just the miracle. Word traveled fast. Soon, neighbors gathered around him in small groups. They asked questions, some politely, some with suspicion. What happened here? They whispered. Did the extremists really just leave? Amir nodded slowly, not hiding his fear but also not embellishing the story. Yes, he said softly. They wanted to hurt me. But something stronger stopped them. Jesus protected me. Some laughed nervously, thinking Amir had gone mad. Others crossed themselves and murmured prayers. But slowly, the fear began to fade, replaced by a strange mix of hope and curiosity. People who had lived in silence, hiding their faith or fear, now felt something new, something alive and powerful. Amir returned to his workshop. He ran his fingers over the wooden toys, but his mind was elsewhere. Every carving, every creation, suddenly felt like it carried a message. His little workshop, once a place of work and calm, now felt like a sanctuary, a place where miracles could happen. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the town prepared for night, Amir knelt by his small prayer corner. He whispered, Jesus, thank you for saving me. Show me how to help others see your love, too. Tears ran down his cheeks. He didn't understand why he had been chosen, but he knew it was part of a plan much bigger than himself. But not everyone in the town was happy. Some extremists had returned quietly, watching from the shadows. Their anger had not disappeared, it had only shifted. Amir's survival had challenged their control, and they could not let it go unanswered. As night fell, the town seemed calm, but a storm was gathering. Shadows moved in the alleys, whispers filled the darkness, and Amir knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges. Yet, in his heart, a quiet courage had taken root, a courage that came not from himself, but from the presence of something far greater than fear. That night, Amir dreamed of light breaking through darkness, of hands reaching out to save, and of a world where faith could triumph over hatred. He woke with a renewed sense of purpose. Whatever lay ahead, he knew he would face it, not with fear, but with faith. And deep inside, he felt it. This was only the beginning of a story that would touch many hearts, a story where love and courage could shine even in the darkest shadows. The morning after the miraculous rescue, the town of Amir's small village seemed quiet, almost too quiet. Birds chirped as usual, and the sun rose over the dusty rooftops, but a strange tension lingered in the air. Amir sensed it the moment he stepped outside. Something was different. Shadows moved too quickly in the corners of his eyes. Whispers followed him wherever he went. He walked slowly toward his workshop, each step measured. His hand, whole, safe, a miracle in itself, tingled as if reminding him of the danger he had escaped. Amir had prayed all night, asking Jesus for guidance, and he felt a deep peace. Yet, he could not ignore the feeling that something terrible was waiting just beyond the edge of the village. By mid-morning, it became clear that Amir was not mistaken. The extremists had returned, not openly this time. They moved like shadows, watching, waiting, their eyes filled with rage. The same men who had tried to take his hand now whispered among themselves in the streets, plotting. Their anger had grown deeper. Their pride had been wounded. The miracle had made Amir stronger in faith but weaker in safety. Amir's heart pounded. He knew he could not hide forever. He prayed silently, clutching the wooden bird that had been his companion through the attack. Jesus, he whispered, I trust you. Protect me again. Give me courage. His fingers trembled, but his spirit felt firmer than ever. As the day passed, Amir noticed the fear of the villagers increasing. Mothers pulled their children inside, shopkeepers closed doors earlier than usual, and even the elders walked cautiously, glancing nervously at the shadows that seemed to linger too long. Amir realized he had become a symbol, of faith, of hope, but also of danger. His life was no longer his own, it had become a story everyone watched unfold. By late afternoon, Amir returned to his workshop, hoping to focus on his carvings. But the extremists were bold now. They blocked the street outside his door. Their presence was unmistakable, menacing, and unyielding. Amir felt a cold wave of fear wash over him, stronger than anything he had felt the day before. One of the extremists stepped forward, voice harsh and low. You survived once, Amir. But miracles cannot save you twice. Today, you will pay for what you are. His eyes glinted with hatred. Amir swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the situation. Every instinct told him to run, to hide, to escape. But his heart whispered something stronger. Do not fear. I am with you. The extremists lunged. Amir barely had time to react. The first one grabbed him, pulling him out into the street. The villagers screamed and scattered, their fear palpable. Amir felt the pull of pain and the terror of the past day return like a storm wave. But this time, he did not panic. He closed his eyes and prayed with every ounce of his being, calling out, Jesus, save me. I trust you with my life. And then, something miraculous happened again. The men froze mid-step, as if held by an invisible force. The air itself seemed to resist them, creating a barrier they could not cross. Amir's heart raced, but a calm energy filled him, stronger than any fear. The wooden bird in his hand glowed softly in the sunlight, though no one else could see it. The extremists tried to move, but their arms shook uncontrollably. One of them fell to the ground, eyes wide with terror. Amir realized that the same power that had saved him before had returned, even stronger this time. He felt Jesus' presence like a shield, surrounding him with warmth, strength, and courage. Slowly, Amir took a step forward, then another. The extremists, unable to approach, finally retreated, cursing and shaking their heads. The town watched in awe and fear, witnessing something that, Words could not describe. Amir was alive, whole, untouched, miraculous. That evening, Amir gathered his courage and walked to the center of the village. He raised his voice, trembling but firm, "Do not fear evil. Even in darkness, Jesus protects those who trust him. No hand, no sword, no hatred can defeat his love." Some villagers wept, some whispered prayers, some could not believe what they had seen. But one thing was clear: Amir's faith had become stronger, and the presence of Jesus had shown the power of miracles in the most impossible moments. As the sun set and shadows stretched across the town, Amir prayed quietly in his workshop, feeling the weight of everything that had happened. The danger had passed, for now, but he knew the story was not over. His life had become a message, a beacon of hope, and a testament that faith could overcome even the darkest threats. And deep in his heart, Amir knew, whatever came next, he would face it, not with fear, but with the courage that only true faith could give. The night after the extremists fled, Amir could hardly sleep. The events of the past days replayed in his mind like a storm. The attack, the blade, the fear, and the invisible shield that had protected him. Every heartbeat reminded him that something far greater than human strength had kept him alive. As dawn broke, a golden light poured into Amir's workshop. The wooden toys glimmered, as if celebrating life itself. But Amir's attention was not on the carvings, it was on his own hand, whole, unharmed, and alive, a living miracle. He ran his fingers over it, feeling each curve, each joint. Tears blurred his vision. "Jesus," he whispered, "I cannot understand why you saved me, but thank you." Word of Amir's survival spread quickly through the village. People came cautiously, whispering in awe. Mothers held their children close, men and women crossed themselves. Amir welcomed them all, not with fear, but with a quiet strength. He knew this was a moment to share not just the miracle, but the love that had saved him. One by one, villagers asked how he had survived. Amir smiled softly and said, "It was not I who protected me. It was Jesus. He is stronger than fear, stronger than hatred, stronger than anything in this world." Some laughed nervously, some cried, and some bowed their heads in silent prayer. The town, once heavy with fear, began to feel lighter, almost as if a new dawn had arrived not just in the sky, but in their hearts. Amir knew he could not ignore what had happened. The extremists were still out there, waiting, but the power that had protected him was greater than their hatred. With newfound courage, he began helping the villagers in secret, teaching them about faith, hope, and the love that had shielded him. People who had hidden their beliefs in fear now dared to whisper prayers. Hearts that had been closed now opened. Then, the miracle grew even more astonishing. One day, as Amir worked on a new carving, a tiny bird with wings spread wide, he felt a warmth in his hand. Looking down, he realized the bird seemed to move slightly, as if alive. His eyes widened. The same invisible force that had saved him was now blessing his hands, his work, and even the little things he touched. It was as if Jesus was showing that miracles were not only about survival, they were about life, love, and creation itself. News of the miracle spread beyond the village. Travelers came from distant towns, curious, fearful, but hopeful. They watched Amir's carvings, listened to his story, and left with hearts transformed. What had been a simple man with a small workshop became a symbol of faith, courage, and the impossible power of love. Amir often sat quietly at night, thinking about the extremists, the danger, and the fear he had faced. But he no longer felt anger. He felt compassion. He prayed for the men who had tried to harm him, hoping that someday, they too would understand the love that had saved a man they had sought to destroy. Years later, Amir's hand remained whole, his faith unshakable, and his life a living testament to the miracle that had changed everything. The tiny wooden birds he carved now carried a story of courage, hope, and divine protection. Children smiled when they saw them, mothers whispered prayers, and everyone who touched his work remembered that even in the darkest moments, faith could create miracles. And deep in Amir's heart, he carried a quiet truth. No hatred, no fear, no blade could ever break the power of love. Jesus had saved him, not just from pain, but from fear itself, showing that miracles are not just events. They are a living force, reaching into hearts, transforming lives, and giving hope even in the darkest corners of the world. As the sun set over the village, Amir held a tiny wooden bird in His hand smiled and whispered, "Thank you, Jesus, for showing me that your love is stronger than everything." The village slept under the stars, but the story of courage, faith, and miracles lived on, forever a beacon for those who believed in hope, even when the world seemed impossible. Summary: in a small town in Iran, a Christian man named Amir faces a brutal attack by extremists who try to amputate his hand. Through his unwavering faith and prayers, Jesus miraculously protects him, saving his life. The town witnesses the miracle, and Amir's courage inspires hope, faith, and love in the hearts of everyone around him. His life becomes a living testament to the power of divine protection, faith, and compassion, even in the darkest moments. Moral lesson: true faith and trust in God can overcome fear, danger, and hatred. Even in the darkest moments, courage, prayer, and love have the power to protect, heal, and inspire others. Miracles often happen not just to save us, but to teach hope, compassion, and the strength of belief. The end.